Hello everyone, this is TSG, aka the Skiing Gamer, and welcome to all new episodes of Flip-Throughs. This is episode 27. If in case you don't know what Flip-Throughs are about, you should check out all the episodes of Flip-Throughs on my playlist on my channel. So be sure to check out all new episodes of Flip-Throughs along with my other series of Games I Be Playing series, Season 5 on my YouTube channel. So really appreciate it. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on to it. Alright, for this episode right here, we're going to show off a flip off Game Informer magazine, which I haven't done in a really long time. So Game Informer making a comeback right here for this episode right here. We're going to do a flip through of Game Informer issue of 129 of January of 2004, which it talks about all the games in the release of 2003, which 2003 for the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube was the best year of peak gaming in my opinion from that era and all that stuff. Before the year and all that would make so much great year later on that later year and all that stuff. So this is the front right here and all that stuff. It's double pages is right here and all that. Showed the ad for Beyond Good and Evil right here, which is like a phenomenal game. Even though I never beat it and all that stuff, I remember seeing commercials and ad and reviews of X-Play for this game right here and all that stuff. And so hopefully Ubisoft will hopefully get a sequel and all that soon. So because Ubisoft is really taking a long ass short ass time to make a second one. So yeah, there is that. Here's the double side Beyond Good and Evil. And here's the front of the Game Informer of video games of 2003, the year review. They talk about all the games released of 2003, which features Mario Kart Double Dash, Beyond Good and Evil, Prince Persia: Sands of Time, Wind Waker, NBA Street Fighter 2, etc. So here's the front page right here. So yeah, there's that. Here's the front, and let's flip through the Game Informer issue 129 of January 2004. So let's flip through it. Alright, so off with the bang right here. It's one of the best Ratchet & Clank games and one of the best phenomenal games of 2003, in which I beat like a couple years back and all that stuff. That is Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. This game right here brings back so many memories, even though I played for a little bit and all that stuff as a kid and all that. But even though I owned it later on in life, because Up Your Arsenal was my first one I owned as a teenager. Then the Going Commando later on and all that. But Ratchet & Clank Going Commando, great Ratchet & Clank game in the series next to Up Your Arsenal. Great story, great weapons, and everything like that. So this is one of the best phenomenal game of that year of 2003. So yeah, there's that. Here's an ad for Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. Bring back memories, seeing commercial for this game, reviews, etc. And the weapons are also awesome in this game. So yeah. There is that, Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. And here is the ad for the Grand Theft Auto Double Pack, which features Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City coming out on the PS2 and the original Xbox. And I saw commercial for those as a kid. I owned the PS2 versions of Vice City and San Andreas, and have 3 on the original Xbox and all that. So Grand Theft Auto came out on the Xbox, which is like Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City for the original Xbox instead of the PS2 and all that. So yeah, there is that. Here is the ad for that. Bring back so many memories as well. And Vice City is my favorite. So yeah, there is that. And here is the ad for the PS2 game called Champion Norat Realms of EverQuest. Bring back so many memories, scenes, commercial as a kid. It's like a strategy RPG and all that stuff, online RPG. Bring back so many memories as well. So tell me, comment below, what's your favorite game of memory of 2003? What's your favorite video game of 2003? Leave a comment below. And here is the ad, which I seen it in the commercial back in the day and all that. I saw the cartoon of it as a teenager. I still own the game through this game and all that stuff. They released it on the GameCube first, then released it on the PS2 later on and all that. And here's the ad of Henshin Go-Go, baby. You know what I'm talking about. the original Viva Joe on the Nintendo GameCube. And this game brings back so many memories. I beat it as a teenager and all that. Even though some parts were hard and all that stuff, you could slow motion and all that. You could speed and all that. And and the anime was really great too. Great too for this video game adaptation of this game right here and all that stuff. So, like I said, they're releasing on the GameCube, but later on we release it on the PS2. So bringing back so many memories, scenes, commercial for the game, and playing this game and being this game as a teenager, and still have to own this copy to this day. So yeah, there is the original feel for Joe on the GameCube. And here is like while I've seen like the episodes of Arena, G4 Arena, and all that. And so many people play this game and all that stuff. If for the original Xbox, that is Counter Strike, which is like you ever notice what Counter Strike is and all that other stuff. I remember seeing episodes of G4 Arena and all that. Many people playing this game with multiplayer on Xbox Lives and all that stuff with LAN parties and all the other stuff. So yeah, there is that. That's my fond memories of Counter Strike. Remember seeing episodes of G4 Arena TV show when a lot of people play competitively of Counter Strike. So yeah, there is that. Here is the another one that is the EverQuest Online Frontiers. I remember seeing this commercial as a game. I watching G4 from my childhood and all that other stuff. I don't have fond memories of this game and all that. I remember seeing commercials for this game and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. And here is the cover story of the index of the 2003 Internet Review and all that stuff. And the features of 100 bullets, can you pull the trigger? And the ad for Magic the Gathering Online. It's like an online trading card game in the online form, and people still play Magic the Gathering to this day and all that. So yeah, there are those. And there's more in-game index right here and all that stuff. And here is the and here is the ad for Sam Goody and all their stuff. We're filling the whole CDs collection all in one. Where I used to have Sean Paul, Dottie Rock, Good Charlotte, Trappy, Pink, Christina Aguilera, Nelly, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Link Park, etc., and all that stuff. So this is from the ad from Sam Goody back in the day, which I really missed that store and all that stuff. So you could buy like CDs and all that before streaming and all that other stuff. So I miss those kind of days and all that stuff. So and here's the game index right here and all that other stuff. And here's the edited form, and here's the ad for NBA Shootout 2004 with Gary Payton and Ray Allen right there. Here's the Game Informer Spy, and here's the ad for Suffering and all that, a survival horror game released on the PS2 and the Xbox. I remember seeing commercials and memories and reviews of the game as a kid and all that stuff. And even though I never really played the game and all that stuff, I heard really great things about it. So yeah, those are those. And here's another Dear Game Informer thing, and the Nico wireless Xnet extender and all that stuff. You could play online on your PS2 and the original Xbox back in the day. And here's the art, the envelope art, and here the ad for Spy Hunter 2 on the original PS2 and the Xbox. I remember seeing commercial for this game as well and all that. Bring back memories. And here's your Game Informer news. A first look at Final Fantasy 12 on the PS2. And they didn't release it in 2003. They released it like 3 years later on the PS2 and all that. So here's a look at that. Here's the development at the time before the release of the final development of the game, like 3 years later on. Here's a look at Final Fantasy 12 and all that. And here is the Sony concept at the time, which is the PSP and all that. And here is the silly thing ad for Grand Theft Auto 5 for 04 and all that, which Grand Theft Auto 5 didn't release 04. Grand Theft Auto released it over the past decade or so, in the next decade or so, and all that stuff. And so yeah, there is that, and here's the ad for like Sony and want to make a handheld, which come out with the PSP and all that, and also it's the Zodiac and all that stuff, and so you could play your games and all that stuff on that handheld and all that stuff. So yeah, those are those. And here's some other stuff and all that. And here's Alienware and all that. I remember seeing this and all that, which is featuring Intel Inside Print Premium 4 and Processor and all that stuff. I remember seeing commercials for these computers and all that stuff. This is like PC gaming at its finest before it became really, really popular and all that stuff. It came with the laptop and came with the desktop and the monitor and all that. So Alienware and all that still a thing to this day and all that stuff. It was really, really popular before it was popular like later on and all the other stuff throughout the years and all that stuff. So those are those right here. Here are all the video game trivia, and here's the phone version of 13 and all that. And then featuring you can play on your phone and all that from Verizon Wireless, the old school Verizon Wireless, not the new crap and all that stuff. So yeah, so you could get it on your phone and all that. Here's some other games as well from Ubisoft, from Splinter Cell, Person Sense of Time, Siberian Strike, and Skate and Slam. So yeah, there is that. The old school Verizon Wireless bring back memories, especially the flip phones and all that before we have smartphones and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. Here is the ad for Dance Dance Revolution Ultimate on the OG Xbox right here. And I heard about this game and all that stuff, but only played the PS2s and the GameCube ones and all the other stuff. So here's the ad for that, and I still play Dance Revolution from time to time to this day. So yeah, there is that. And here is the page right here, all that. The year in review of 2003. They talk about the context of the year of 2003, the 50 games of 2003, the heroes of 2003, disappointments of 2003, the publishers of 2003, the feelings of 2003, developers, worst games, and the biggest dorks of 2003. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the start of the page of the year review of 2003. What a year at the time to release so many great games of that year and all that. And I really, really miss 2003. So yeah, there is that, and here's the index right there. So let's flip through it. Here's January. And they released January of that year. They released the Game Boy Advance SP, and Link is featured a guest character of Soul Calibur 2, which is like one of the best guest characters of all time in any Soul Calibur games. Bring back so many memories of seeing commercial for the game for all three systems and all that, PS2, Xbox, and of course GameCube with my boy Link on it. And I never really got it later on. Never really got it until I was a teenager, when I was in high school and all that, whatever, was receiving some high school money and all that stuff. So yeah, that January and all that. there's that. And there's Sega GT Online on the original Xbox. They released the 2002 version, all that, but they released the online version of it. You could play like high speed internet and Xbox Live and all that. So yeah, there is that. Here is February of 2003. Kajuja Jojen is like a fighting game and taking things in EA and taking stuff for like Dice and all the other stuff. And here's the sequel to a Hunting the Reckoning Redeemer on the PS2 and the OG Xbox. It's kind of like the expansion on the first one with all the remasters and all the other stuff, but this time on the PS2 and the Xbox. So yeah, there is that. But Hunter the Reckoning is really fun. Top-down RPG game and all that. You have like 4 people playing friends next to you and all that. It's a blast and all that. So yeah, there is that. Here's the February part of it and the ad for Hunter the Reckoning Redeemer. So yeah, there is that. March of 2003. They're talking about Tenchu Wrath for Heaven, Dynasty Warriors 4, Jurassic Park, Operation Genesis, Pro Racer Driver, Town Fang, Festival of Lotus, like a Mortal Kombat ripoff, which was terrible. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, which was like the best era of Pokemon, and King of Route 66, and the Zelda Ocarina of Time and the Master Quest when you pre-order Wind Waker and all that. And here's an ad for iNinja, which I saw the commercial for this game back in the day. Even though I never really played and all that, I saw the commercials and the X-Play reviews of this game. And Billy West voiced the ninja of this game right here and all of their stuff. So yeah, here's the pages of those. And all of these bring back a lot of memories. So yeah, there is that. Going on to the April side of things and all that stuff. Let's talk about the music industry of that day and all that stuff. And here's the ad for Castlevania Lambda Innocent on the PS2. It was like a 3D Castlevania game and all that. Bring back so many memories seeing commercials for this game as well. Here is May of 2003, where they talk about the Enter the Matrix video game. The infograms, the dead, long live the Atari, when Atari taking over. And here is the if you had this phone handheld game back in the day, you're really lucky. I remember seeing a commercial for this as a kid and all that stuff. Never really owned one. I really jealous you guys own this handheld and all that stuff, / phone back in the day and all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about. That is an N-Gage. I remember seeing a commercial for this as a kid and all that stuff. It was like a handheld / phone and all that stuff. You could play games and all that and make calls on this phone right here and all this stuff. If you own this the handheld and all that, you guys are really lucky. It shows Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Tomb Raider, and Pandinomia. And if you own the N-Gage and all that stuff, you're really lucky. So, but the N-Gage and all that bring back a lot of memories and all that stuff. So you're lucky you have an N-Gage back in the day and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. And Enter the Matrix and all that stuff was a really good Italian movie game and all that stuff. I beat it on the PS2 and all that stuff, and now only on the original Xbox and all that. But it's a really great Matrix game and all that. Even though I never played Path of Neo and all that. So yeah, those are those. Here is June of 2003. And here's the ads for King of Fighters 2000 and 2001. Which I have both of these which I have the couple on the PS2. I've seen gameplays as well. Be sure to check those out. And also, they show the Game Boy player and all the stuff. You can see right here and all that. You could play like Game Boy games on the GameCube with the accessory right here and the disc. But the Game Boy player and the disc and all that is so expensive now and all that stuff. So yeah, those are those. Here's July of 2003, which is talking about Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball on the OG Xbox. Talking about Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, and the ad for the original Ninja Gaiden on the OG Xbox. I know they remastered it and all that stuff, but this is the OG and all that before they made black that layer year and all that other stuff. So yeah, those are those. And Ninja Gaiden, first one, Hard Game 2 and all that. And also August of 2003, which is they released Alter Echo, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, F-Zero GX, Anvil Fever 2004, Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire, Otagi Missile Demons, and also the it's a Phantom broadband connector thing and all that. You can connect to your internet to play games and all that stuff. And also here's the ad for the Crimson Sky game on the OG Xbox and all that stuff. So yeah, there are those, and these bring back a lot of memories for me. So yeah, there is that. Here's September of 2003, and talking about the Stan Lee mega activation with Stan Lee, and the games released of that month: Raw 2, Banjo-Kazooie Grunty Revenge, Disney Extreme Skatefarer, Rugby 2004, Big Hatcher and the Giant Egg, and Dino Crisis 3. Ugh. And also, they released this game right here. It was a sequel to the first Maximo called Maximo vs. Army of Sin. But they released in January of 2004 and all that stuff. So yeah, I beat Maximo, the first one and all that. Hard as nails and all that, kind of like ghosts and goblins and all that. But I had fun times with it and all that stuff. So yeah, those are those. October of 2003, which is the launch of the N-Gage with the disaster for Nokia and all that. And Steven Spielberg talking about the fail frame and all that. And he talked about he like a Nokia phone and all that. Prince of Persia, the sense of time you could play on your mobile phone from the old school AT&T, Singular, remember Singular, best wireless and all that stuff. And T-Mobile, of course, and all that. And you could play Prince of Persia Sands of Time on your mobile phone back in the day, which bring back a lot of memories. In November or December time of 2003, and talk about the Kill Bill. Iron Man talk about hit consoles and new hot colors to PS2 in Japan. Talk about the Spike TV Game Awards, which I really missed that and all that. I missed Spike, and also the ad for the Intech accessories from controllers, gaming screens, sound system, racing wheels, protected case, etc. I miss those type of gaming right here and all that, especially the gaming screens and all that. I miss that and all that. You can play the system on your gaming screen without using the TV and all that. You can play in your car and all that stuff. I really miss that and all that. I wish games of today would bring that back and all that other stuff. So I really miss those times. So yeah, those are those. All right, here's the top 50 games of 2003, which features Sin City 4, Dark Cloud 2, Xenosaga Episode 1, Zelda The Wind Waker. With a lot of people, when first released and all that, they didn't really like it because of the whole cartoony shit and all that stuff. But for me, I really like it, even though there's some annoying parts of the game, like collecting all the eight Triforce pieces, all that before the end of the game and all that. But other than that, it was a great Legends of Zelda game for its time and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. And here's the top 10 heroes of 2003. Beautiful Joe from Beautiful Joe. HK47 from Knights of the Old Republic. Link, Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube version. Cosmos from Scene Saga Episode 1. Tiki Van Dyke from Ultimate Muscle. Snoop Dogg from True Crime Series LA. If you lock your cheat code and all their stuff, you can play as Snoop Dogg. Fence from Fudo Fence. Mayu Akamura from Fatal Frame 2. Rom Jeremy from Celebrity Deathmatch. And Clank and Dexter from Ratchet Clank Going Commando and Jak 2. So yeah, those are the top games, 50 games of 2003, top heroes of 2003, which those heroes, those times of that year and all that, make gaming at its peak at its finest. So yeah, there is that. Here is a continuing of the 50 games of 2003. They released Midnight Club 2, one of the best racing games and all that, next to Need for Speed Underground. Ikaruga, hard shooter on the GameCube and all that. And of course, the legendary GOAT of basketball games, which is NBA Street Volume 2. Return to Castle Wolfenstein Ties of War. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow on the Game Boy Advance. And the ad for Onimusha Tactics on the Game Boy Advance. So yeah, those are those. I have memory for all three, especially Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. And I still play NBA Street Volume 2 to this day. One of the best basketball games, the best GOAT basketball games of all time and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. Alright, here continue on. We have WarioWare Macro games, Advance Wars 2, Black Hole Rising, Warcraft 3, Knights of the Old Republic, and the top disappointing games of 2003, which is Lara Croft, The N-Gage, GameCube third-party control, for third-party support, Devil May Cry 2, Rares, Nimbly Divider, Half Price Drop, Star Wars, War Squadron 3, Rebel Strike, Mega Man 15 Anniversary, PlanetSide, and the connectivity. And here's the ads for the Planet and the greatest hits of Dead to Rights, which cost $19.99 back in the day and all that. The PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, and Dead to Rights and all that. And it was an alright Max Payne clone and all that. And not the best and all that, but even though I like Max Payne better, but this one's really, really great too for its time and all that. So yeah, there is that. And now, like $19.99 and all that, but like Platinum Hits, the greatest hits for games, all that, was the best pricing and all that. Before, prices got way up and all that for now games. So like $70, $80 and all that other stuff. This is the pricing at its peak right here. So yeah, there are those. Alright, here's Splashdown Ride Goes Wild. Best Madden of all time, that is Madden NFL 2004. Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution. Tron 2.0, the best top 10 publishers of 2003. And here's the ad for Unreal 2 The Awakening on the original Xbox. So yeah, those are those. Here's the ad for SOCOM 2, new U.S. Navy SEALs and all that. And here's the Sky Hours of Darkness, good RPG. The best fight game of that year, that is Soul Calibur 2, featuring on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. But the GameCube version couldn't go because of my boy Link. And here's Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, ESPN NFL Football 2K4, and Homeworld 2. So yeah, those are those. Soul Calibur 2 is still the GOAT and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. Here's Tigerwood PGA 2004, Angel Hits 2004, Beautiful Joe, Jak 2. Here's the top fillers of 2003. And here's an ad for King Fight EX Howling Blood on the Game Boy Advance. It was like a fighting game on the Game Boy Advance, which is really, really cool. Here is Max Payne 2, Fall of Max Payne, Crimson Sky, High Road to Revenge, SSS 3, one of the best snowboarding games in that era, Super Mario Fans 4, Super Mario Bros. Fans 3, top developers of 2003, ESPN, NBA Basketball 2K4, Gladius, the original Rainbow Six 3, and Tony Hawk Underground, which I remember seeing commercials for this game as a kid and all that stuff. If you see, go back to my games where I've been playing series and all that, and so you talking about that game right there. And Top Spin and the original Call of Duty on PC before they released it on consoles and all that other stuff. And here's the ad for Dynasty Warrior 4 Extreme Legends on the PS2. So much memories of seeing commercials and playing these games as a kid and all that stuff. And even some of them as an adult that I never experienced. So yeah, those are those. Here's the Fire Emblem that released here in America on the Game Boy Advance. SOCOM 2 US Navy SEALs. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, one of the best Prince of Persia games out there. Prince of Persia games in my opinion. Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. The best Ratchet & Clank ever made. Beyond Good and Evil. Mario Kart Double Dash, which I found so many memories playing this game when I was a teenager. And all that stuff from Madonna Play Place. Even got my own copy. Still have my own copy from 2009 and all that stuff. Project Gotham Racing 2. Final Fantasy X-2, which I've seen commercial for the game and all that stuff. Which I never really beat the game and all that, but not the best Final Fantasy game. And this one, take the cake right here and all that before they remaster it on the 3DS and all this stuff. That is Mario Luigi Superstar Saga. So yeah, those are those games right here. I have fond memories, seeing commercials, seeing reviews, playing these, and all that stuff. So yeah, those are those. Here is Manhunt. So much fond memories, seeing commercial for that as a kid. Need for Speed Underground. Saw that as a kid as well. Deus Ex: A Visible War. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly. Sin Busting Out. The Top Picadors of 2003, and here more ads for Extreme Legends Dynasty Warriors 4. And here's the ad for the can you pull the trigger with 100 bullets? Which is like the release of a game called 100 Bullets, released in October 2004, which they never really did. So here's the ad for that. And here's the ad for a Maximum Chase on the original Xbox. Here more of the 100 Bullets game, and shows us the weapon contest and all that stuff, and you can win the trip to Los Angeles to visit exciting games and $5,000 to your lifestyle, and you get the Ratchet & Clank poster too and all that stuff. When you enter, they'll show you us the weapon contest and all that, build your own weapons, send to them and all that. You get like prizes and all that other stuff, which is really cool back in the day, which they don't do that much anymore and all that other stuff. So I miss those times. So yeah, those are those. And here's the ad for one of the best Prince of Persia games of all time. I remember seeing commercials for this game and all that stuff. I remember playing it at a friend's house and all that. I still have my OG Xbox copy of the game and all that. Best Prince of Persia ever made. That is Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. So much fun memory seeing commercials and playing it and all the other stuff. Even though it was hard on nails and annoying things in the game and all that stuff, I still have my fun enjoying my time playing this game and all that. Oh my gosh, I miss 2003 so much. And here is the ad for Nightshade, which is like a PS2 Shinobi a sequel and all that stuff. Here's a preview of Manhunt on the PS2 and all that. I remember a lot of people tried to block this game and all the other stuff, but trying to like ban this game and all that stuff back in the day and all that. But I also remember I saw a commercial for the game and all that. Saw some review for the game and all that. It was scary for me as a kid and all that other stuff. So yeah, there is that. And they made a sequel to this too, like years later and all that other stuff. So yeah, there is that. The original Manhunt on the PS2 before they released it on the Xbox and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. Here's the ads for the original NFL Street on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. I have some fond memories seeing commercial for NFL Street as a kid and all that stuff. I played the first and the second one as a kid and all that other stuff. And so I still have the original on the OG Xbox and all that other stuff. So here's an ad for that. I remember seeing commercials and seeing ads and reviews for this game and all the other stuff. It brings back so many memories and all the other stuff. Just like NBA Street games and all the other stuff. So I never enjoyed playing on much as the NBA Street games and all that as a kid. But the NFL Street games is a blast and all that stuff. So even the first one and all that. So yeah, those bring back a lot of memories. And here's the ad. I saw a commercial for this game and all that stuff as a kid and all that stuff. And I used to own it on 3 consoles and all that. I still have my GameCube version and all that. I used to have it for the PS2 and all that, but I got rid of it because not the really good version of it. That is, no need explanation. Sonic Heroes on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. And I still have my original copy. Let me take it out for you. Still have my OG copy of this game to this day. So yeah, there is that. So yeah, Sonic Heroes. Here's the ad for Advent Rising on the Xbox and the PC, released in the fall of 2004, which is like the next year. Here's the ad for Onimusha 3 on the PS2, which is like a huge improvement over the first 2 and all that. You can play with the analog stick and you can play as Jock in the game and all that stuff. So yeah, so here it is right there. Yeah, preview of Onimusha 3 on the PS2. And here's the ad for ad for Tom Clancy's original Rainbow Six 3. I remember seeing commercials for that. And here's Sudeki, a RPG for the original Xbox and all that. Don't get much love and all that stuff. Here's MX Unleashed, we released on the PS2 on the Xbox. I remember seeing commercial for this game along with MX vs. ATV Unleashed as well. And here's the ad for the Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie Revenge, which is coming out on the which was released on the PS2 and all that. They released it on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube and Game Boy Advance. Of that 2 years later, and the ad for Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, which is released on December 3rd. So yeah, those are those. Here's the ad for 007 Everything or Nothing, which we released on March of 2004, which is that next year. And I have so many fond memories playing Nightfire and this and all that. With this, it's a third-person shooter and all that stuff, which I really love the game. You have Maya in the game, Maya the singer in the game, and all that other stuff. There's so much more. This is a great, great game next to Nightfire and all that. And here's an ad for Armed Danger on the Xbox and the PC. And here's the ad for Driver 3 on the PS2, Xbox, and PC, released March of that next year. And here's the ad for R Racing Evolution on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. Bring back so many memory scenes commercial for this game as well. And here's the previews of Joint Operation on the PC and PsyOps on the PS2 and the original Xbox. And here's the maximize the PS2 in-text station from the racing wheel, side station, wireless controller, and the gaming screens and all that. Like I said, I really miss the gaming screens and all that. Which the game is up to date, they don't have that. I really, really miss that and all that in gaming and all that. So yeah, those are those. Here's the ad for Cold Winter on the PS2, The Matrix Online, Mafia on the PS2, same thing and all that from the in-text of all the accessories, this time on the original Xbox. And here's the photo file of F-Zero of Falcon Legend, later they rename it GP Legend, Terminator 3 Redemption, and also then they made another Terminator game, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, and all that for the PS2 and Xbox. City of Heroes, Black and White 2, and MTX Motor Trek on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. And Intex, same thing and all that, all the accessories, this time is on the GameCube. Which I used to have where you come with it, where I had the black GameCube and all that stuff. We used to have this controller right here and all that for like the wireless controllers and all that other stuff. Before it was lost and stolen throughout the move and all that stuff. So yeah, those are those. Here's the game of the month and all that for Mario Luigi Superstar Saga and the Game Boy Advance, and game of the month of Deus Ex Invisible War. Yeah, great Mario RPG, by the way. And here's the ad for I remember seeing this ad for the game as a kid, all that, with the sequel to the first Max Payne and Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. Even though I never played the sequel of the game and all that, the first one was great and all that other stuff. So I cannot wait to try the second one in the near future. So yeah, there is that. And rest in peace to the Max Payne voice actor and all that stuff. And here's the ad for Manhunt on the PS2 and R Racing Evolution on the PS2. And here's the ad, which I saw the commercial for this game as a kid and all that stuff. I played a little bit as a kid and all that. If you've seen the episode of Game Why I've been playing episode and all that, you talk about this game right here. That is the original Tony Hawk Underground. Bring back so many memory scenes commercial for this game as a kid and all that other stuff. You can get off your board and all that, and the story is great too and all that stuff. So yeah, there is that. The original Tony Hawk Underground. Bring back a lot of memories. Here is Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly on the PS2. And here's the ad for Kill Switch on the PS2 and the Xbox right here. Bring back a lot of memories of those games. And here's Legacy of Kain Defiance on the PS2. And here's the ad of one of the best time classic game of all time, Time Crisis 3 on the PS2. Yeah, I still have the game and the gun and all other stuff. So bring back a lot of memories. And here's the ad for Spy Hunter 2 on the PS2, and you could win the ultimate gaming rig. We back in the day we used to have the big TVs and all that other stuff with the surrounding sound in the bottom right here. We used to have the big TVs back in the day and all that before we had HD TVs and all that stuff. So bring back a lot of memories of that. So yeah, those are those. Here's the ad for RPG. Here's the reviews of RPG Maker 2, Sim Busting Out, one of the best of Sims games on that generation, and Goblin Commander Unleash the Horde on the PS2. And here's the ad for Midway Arcade Treasures 1 on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, which cost like $20 back in the day and all that other stuff. And I don't know what the game goes for nowadays and all that. I have the first one on the GameCube and all that. And Smash TV and Gauntlet and Joust, classic arcade games and all that. So yeah, those are those right here. Here is the ad for Spawn Armageddon, which like a terrible, like Spawn games were like terrible as a game, but Spawn Armageddon, it was okay. It's not the greatest Spawn game in the world, but it was alright. And here's a PS2 review of Tokyo Extreme Racer 3. And the PS2 of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. I remember I saw a commercial for this game as a kid. I remember playing it at my brother's friend's house on the GameCube and all that stuff. And you still have my high school copy of the game and all that other stuff on the PS2. So Budokai 2 bring back a lot of memories and all that. And he more ad for the Midway Arcade Treasures 1. And here's the reviews of Whiplash on the PS2 side. Whiplash, iNinja, Harry Potter Sorcerer's Stone, Cabela Dangerous Hunt, Celebrity Deathmatch, Looney Tunes Back in Action, which was like a decent Looney Tunes movie back in the day, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, NCAA March Madness 2004, Battlestar Galactica, Hot Wheels Robo Race, and Future Hunter. Here's 1080 Avalanche. For the GameCube side, you got 1080 Avalanche and Sonic Heroes. Remember, like I said, I remember seeing commercials for these games back in the day during the GameCube era. Bring back so many memories. Even though I never played 1080 Avalanche and all that, it was a solid commercial for that. And Sonic Heroes, no explanation and all that stuff. I remember playing this game a lot and all that. Like I said, I still have my GameCube copy to this game and all that. So yeah, those are those. Here's the GameCube reviews of True Crime Streets of LA and Gotcha Force. And here's the great hits version of Pac-Man World 2, which are the GameCube version of Pac-Man versus Pac-Man World 2. Great memories playing Pac-Man World 2 at my brother's friend's house and all that. It was really great platformer. It's still hard to this day and all that, but I still have fun with it and all that other stuff. I still have the Pac-Man version and Pac-Man World 2 and all that other stuff. So yeah, same thing with that Tip Rides and all that. Priced in 1995 back in the day and all that other stuff. With the greatest hits and the play choice and the platinum hits and all that stuff. So yeah, those are those. Here's the reviews of Sims Busting Out, The Hobbit, Pokemon Channel, Pac-Man vs. Bionicle, Goblin Commander, and Yu-Gi-Oh! The Fall Boss Kingdom. Which as a kid and all that for Yu-Gi-Oh! Fall Boss Kingdom, I thought it'd be a really good game, but that game kind of suck now and all that other stuff. Here's the Xbox of reviews of Rainbow Six 3, Deus Ex Invisible War, Armed and Dangerous, And here's the hottest games of 2003 when GameStop and FuncoLand was shit and all that other stuff. All $34.99 used and all that other stuff. But all the games released in 2003. And some of them are $19.99 used and all that other stuff. So yeah, good times, man. Good time. Even though GameStop Retro is back and all that stuff, old school GameStop will always be the best and all that. So yeah, there is that. And here's the ad for Prince of Persia, the Samsung title on the OG Xbox. Grabbing all 3 and Vice City, the Xbox versions of the game, and Counter-Strike. Here's Dance Dance Revolution Ultimate, Star Wars Jedi Academy, Legacy of King Defiance, and Goblet Commander. The Xbox reviews of it. Here's Arc Failus, Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, True Crime Streets of LA, Celebrity Deathmatch, MTV Celebrity Deathmatch, Secret Weapons Over Normandy, Maximum Chase, Whiplash, Spawn Armageddon, OK Spawn Game, Drake of the 99 Dragons, Broken Sword, The Sleepy Dragon, and Battlestar Galactica. Here, PC side, Deus Ex Civil War, Final Fantasy 11, Civilization 3 Conquest, DGC's Legends of Arana. And PCs of Danger Hidden 2, Lord of the Ring, Bordering, and all the other PC games of that year. And here's the Game Boy fan side and all that. Game Boy 2003 was the best year of Game Boy fans, all that. Released the SP and all that. I still have my childhood to this day and all that other stuff. They released so many games of that system and all that. Bring back a lot of memories. The release of Mario Luigi Superstar Saga, the first one in the series, and Sword of Mana. Best games out of that year and all that stuff. Bring back a lot of memories. Even though I never played them and all that, I've seen reviews and all that. So those are those. Here is the other Game Boy fans quickies and all that stuff. Max Payne and all the other games. See right there. And here's the describe for Game Informer. Back in the day is $24.98 and all that. When you subscribe to the old school Game Informer, not the later ones they did for like GameStop and all that other stuff. The old school ones and all that from the 2002, from the 2005 era and all that. Good times right there. And here's the ad for GameStop with all the prices on the original prices on the PS2, GameCube, and the original Xbox. Here talk about the new refused archetypes of January 2004 and talk about all the new releases and all that. Here's your cheat codes and all that stuff. And the cheat codes of the Xbox version of Grand Theft Auto 3. And here's the ads for the Secret of Mana on the Game Boy Advance. Bring back a lot of memories and all that stuff. Here, more cheat codes right here. As you can see, deposit if you like. Here's a classic, talk about the classic Game Informer, Path Pleasure 2, talk about the Neo Geo and all that stuff. Talk about the classic GI stuff. And here is like right here, the one here bring back so many memories as a kid. Like I said, see commercial for this game and all other stuff. I still have my original teenage copy of this game right here. I remember playing on the GameCube at my brother's friend's house and all that other stuff. I remember I saw the commercial as a game right here and all that. It's so pink and all that. You know what I'm talking about. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 on the PS2. At the time they released on the PS2, but later that next year they released it on the GameCube. And yeah, this commercial for this game and all that as a kid bring back so many memories and all that as a Dragon Ball Z fan as a kid and all that. When I'm watching Dragon Ball Z and all the other stuff. So yeah, there is that. And here's the ad for Resident Evil Outbreak, which is coming out on March 30th of that next year, and the ad for Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. And certainly, last but not least, here's the back. Here's the continuation of the ad of Beyond Good and Evil. So yeah, there is that, you guys. So here's the flip throughs of Game Informer issue 129 of January of 2004. So yeah, there is that. So that is easy, guys, for the all new episodes of Flip Throughs, episode 27. Tell me below what your fond memories of this magazine, or tell me below what your fond memories of games that you played in 2003. So make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. If you want to follow me for my upcoming videos, check out my Facebook fan page. The Facebook fan page is going to be in the link description down below. And I'll see y'all next time with another video. Thank you very much, and goodbye.